If you're finishing your quiz, do that first. Don't worry about what's up here yet until you finish your quiz. Yeah. Now, we're supposed to have a test on Friday, which is not a joke. So, we'll see if that gets pushed back, but it should be on Friday. Now, everything's in Skyward up to that quiz. So check Skyward or check your little grade sheet I gave you. All this stuff is in. So make sure you're turning stuff in and fixing stuff as needed. Now, y'all tell me, just looking at this equation, we've been doing this for 2 weeks. Does this shift left or right? Why left? Okay, well, it's supposed to be opposite. So when you see a -5, usually negative means left. But remember, the bottom is an opposite. You want to think right. Okay, so it's right 5. So the number on the bottom is left, right. It's an opposite, so right 5. And then what about up and down? What do you think? So this one doesn't lie. So only this one's a liar, not this one, okay? So think about it. The one next to the X is a liar. Any of y'all have an X that's a liar? There you go, okay? All right, so now let me pass this out. It's spooky. Who's that? Is that me? Sure. Non-stop. Too many memes. Yes. I only have one comment. The Mavs are going to slap the Lakers. All right. Now, let's look at this. So again, sooner we get done with this, sooner y'all can work on the assignment, etc. So go ahead and start writing this down. Everyone should have this. Okay. We're talking about inverse variation. Okay. And do this first, please. So it's a relationship between two variables in which the product is a constant. Do y'all know what product means? What it means in math? What it means in math class? Okay, it means multiplying, okay? So when you multiply two things, two variables, you get a constant, which means just a regular number, okay? So this is actually not too profound. This might even sound more complicated than it is, but I'm going to show you an example of it. And our favorite thing ever, word problems. Yay. All right. So first, everyone write this down, unless you're quizzing. How you doing? And it's two-sided, by the way. And you know, two-sided. Here on the back. Okay. All right, so let's move on. So we got two examples on this, example 1 and example 2, and then I'll give you the assignment. Now, everybody, look at this. Without even reading it, who thinks this is going to be hard or difficult? I don't think y'all are listening. Okay, most people think that word problems are difficult. Now, if you don't, that's great. Okay, but let's be honest. Sometimes there's a lot of reading. It's not like straightforward, so it's kind of like, not sure where to go with this. Okay. Now, have any of y'all dissected an animal in biology or anything like that? Okay. Now, this is not as exciting or weird or interesting, but we're dissecting all these words to find the stuff we need and then plug it into something, get our answer, okay? Just so you know, that's kind of real life. Real life is full of all this fluff, and you take the important stuff you need and get the stuff you need out of that, okay? So, all that to say, we're talking about rims here, so maybe that can get some of y'all interested in this. Rolling on these 12-inch rims, all right? So check it out. Without even reading it, if you just look for numbers, can't you already see 3 numbers, okay? I'm telling you, that's what you need. You need these numbers to do something with it, right? So all we gotta do, golly, all we gotta do is figure out what means what and then what to do with it. So let's do this together. Here we go. Now, ready? So we want to figure out what are the two things we're talking about. I'm going to read it. The number of what? Y'all know what revolutions are? It's a turn. Okay, engines have RPMs because it's a lot of revolutions per minute. RPM. Okay, so revolutions made by a tire traveling over a fixed distance varies inversely. Let me stop there. Look right here. Varies inversely is what we're doing today. Inverse variation or varies inversely. Keep going. It says with the radius of the tire. Do y'all see the two things we're talking about? We're talking about revolutions and radius. So it says 12-inch radius makes 100 revolutions. So we know for sure that these two go together. To travel a certain distance, keep going. How many revolutions? Here's a missing thing. Go ahead and put like an X on top of that, okay? I don't know what the revolutions are. It's X, okay? Of a 16-inch radius required to travel the same distance, okay? Now, here's the deal. We know 12 inches, rims, makes 100 revolutions. So what we're going to do is first underline what we're looking for. We're looking for revolutions. We're looking for radius. Can y'all underline what I have up here in red? Okay, you doing the quiz? I guess double-sided. Don't forget. What happened to this? Oh, corner of my desk. So did y'all underline that? Okay, revolutions, radius of the tire. Now, what are the revolutions? What are the radius of the tire? 112. Okay, so you can kind of box that in or circle it or whatever. It's highlighted up here in yellow. To travel a certain distance. Okay, here we go. So what we're going to do is put those next to each other. Remember, inverse variation is multiplying. It's the product of two variables. So 12 and 100 are multiplied. Okay, so 12 times 100. And we're going to set that equal to the other two things. Now, the other number I see here is 16. And then the revolutions are missing. We'll call that X. So we have X and 16. So we're going to set that equal to 16x. So do you see what's in yellow matches and what's in green matches? 16 and, I don't know, call it X. Okay, so you can multiply those, set it equal, multiply those. Now this is an equation. Can you solve this either by n-solve or just by typical solving? Okay. What? So if I'm solving for x and 16 is being multiplied in front, what's the opposite of multiplying to get rid of it? We're going to divide by 16 to get x by itself. So go ahead and put divided by 16 on both sides, just like this. And you can scratch out those 16s on the right side. They cancel out. So we have x left over. My finger still hurts. And on the left-hand side, we have 12 times 100 divided by 16. If you plug that in, you get your answer, okay? And already did it for you. We get 75 revolutions, okay? 12 times 100 divided by 16 is 75 revolutions. So let's pause here. If I give you a similar word problem, it'll give you three things, and one of them is going to be missing. Could you set it up like this? Divide, get your answer. Okay, that's the hope. Okay, so on the assignment, there's 4 of these types, and then on the back of the assignment, there will be one of these next types. Now, look at the next problem, example 2. Again, if you judge it, a book by its cover, it's going to look very difficult because you have A, B, C, D, E, F, all these different sections. But what it's doing is giving you little pieces that you're going to put all together at the end. So it's actually kind of helping you get from the beginning to the end. Okay. So let's read this first. Okay. So again, before we read it, you can already see some numbers. I know what I'm looking for. What do they mean? Let's read it. Some seniors plan on throwing a party. Okay. A party where no one gets hurt or does illegal things, right? To celebrate their graduation. They plan on renting a large water slide moon bounce to have at their party. Bouncy houses quote unquote, rents their largest water slide for $500. Already, what's one of our variables going to be? What's this? Well, not the number, but 500 what? Money, okay? Dollars, money, okay? So we know we're talking about money. That's one of our variables. Keep going. The rental fee will be split equally amongst every what? Person. The seniors that are attending this slide event, okay? That attends the party. So I can already tell you what the two things are. I know y'all can read this stuff and just see it. There's money, there's people. Those are the two things. Okay, the rental fee will be split equally among every person, blah, blah, blah. Okay, the senior class has a total of 600 students, okay? Now, that doesn't mean 600 are going, okay? Kind of like prom. Y'all know some people are going, some people aren't. Some people are bringing their cousins, whatever, okay? Now, letter A, formulate an equation that models the situation, all right? Now, if y'all can see on the whiteboard here, I drew this in purple, okay? When you do inverse variation, it usually looks like this. Y equals K over X, okay? Y equals K over X. Here's the question. What's Y? What's X? And what's K? So when we read A, it tells us, make an equation. X is the number of seniors. We don't know how many, but X is going to be the seniors that attend the party. Y represents the cost per person. We don't know that yet either. These two things are unknown. But what we do know is K. How much money does this dang slide cost? $500, okay? So what you know for sure is the K value. So let's go ahead and write this equation down. It looks like this. Y equals, okay, price per person equals 500 over X, which means 500 divided by the number of people attending, the seniors. You want to use this? It's supposed to help you. What number are you on? You on this one? Wait a minute. It's out of order. My bad. So from here to the end, you can use end solid. Are you doing that? Yeah, you can use end solid. You want to do it? Okay. Now, letter B. Ready? So that's our equation. We're going to start plugging stuff into it. Letter B asks us to plug in what? So it says, what if, possibly, only 100 people go to the party? Okay? Where am I going to plug in 100 here? Y or X? Y represents cost per person. X represents the number of seniors. So 100 is going to be on the bottom of the fraction. $500 divided by 100 seniors gives us the price per person. So 500 over 100, mental math, what is it? Divide, not subtract. 500 divided by 100. What? 5. Like 500 cents divided by 100 cents. Okay, so $5 a person, not bad, okay? Now, I think y'all get it. The more people, the cheaper it is. The more you split it, kind of obvious. That's called inverse variation, okay? Okay, you might be like, when am I ever going to use this? If you ever one day move out and you want to split the rent with somebody or blah, 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 that's inverse variation, whether you like it or not. Okay, now, letter C. What is the cost per person if every senior in the senior class attends this party? Now, how many seniors are there? What? 600, even though you're taking a quiz? Okay, so 600 goes on the bottom. So instead of 100 now, it's going to be 500 divided by 600. So if everyone shows up, when you divide this, now this, you'll use a calculator, it's a decimal, but you get 83 cents, okay? So everybody on letter C, do you understand why I put 600 on the bottom? So that's the total number of seniors, okay? Letter D, how many seniors attended the party if the cost per person was $2? Now here's where they change it up. Do you see $2 is not a number of people, right? You can't put that where X was. So what we're going to do is going to take that original equation and plug in $2 into the Y, not the X. Okay, because $2 per person, Y is cost per person. So this is what it's going to look like. 2 goes into Y, so it's actually 2 equals 500 over X. Now, could you solve that? Now, if you can do it algebraically, that's awesome. It's definitely possible. But, of course, you always have insolve at your disposal. You could type it in, menu 3.1, type it in, comma x, okay? And if you did that, okay, you end up with 250 seniors. That kind of makes sense. 250 seniors at $2 a pop gives you $500, okay? Now, you finish that quiz? How can you hear me? You listen to that little baby stuff? Little goo goo gaga? Little binky, you know? Hey, but school policy says 1 at most, and I'm telling you none. Okay, so last one, and we're done. What is it? Oh, actually, last 2. What is a reasonable domain? Is domain X or Y? Domain is X, okay? So domain is X, and X is the number of seniors. So let's think about this, bottom to top. What's the least amount of seniors that can go to this party? There can be less than 3. 0, right? It could be, well, I mean, literally, that's the lowest it can be, okay? 0 people could go. Now, what's the most people that could attend? No, there's not that many seniors there. How much? 600. And the problem, it tells us, it's a total of 600. So do y'all agree, like the least is 0, the highest is the most, 600, that's the domain. So here's how you write it. You use inequalities, your little less than sign, between 0, less than x, less than or equal to 600. And again, it's because x is number of people, number of seniors, 0 is the least, 600 is the most. Okay? Last one, range. If domain is X, we know range is Y, hopefully, right? Now, what is the least amount of price per person? Okay? It can't be 0 because you have to actually pay money for this. Okay? So think about it. It costs the least when you have the most people going, which is what we did on letter C. How much was letter C? It doesn't get any lower than 83 cents per person. Okay? So our range, 83 at the bottom, what's the most someone could pay per person? 5? No. No. Okay. Think of the most someone could spend. How much does it cost to rent this thing? 500. If one person stuck with it, then that's the most they could spend, right? $500. Like one person party on the slide. Very not depressing, right? Okay, so 83 cents is the cheapest. If everyone goes to the party, if one guy shows up, it's $500. Okay, that's how it works. So our range is between 83 cents to 500 buckaroos. And here's how you write it. You use those inequality signs: less than or equal, less than or equal. So notice each of these questions is applying stuff from the word problem. Now I know word problems can be kind of tricky, kind of maybe confusing. But we got to get some practice on this because whether you're retaking the EOC or not, okay, word problems are an inevitable part of either your future in school or just good for problem-solving skills because life happens, okay? So I'm going to pass these out. Notice when you get this, the front has 4 questions, no big deal. The back looks like a lot, but if you read it, you only have to do one of the problems, A or B. It says at the top, pick one or the other. Okay, if you do the entire backside, you didn't have to. Okay, but again, you do 1 through 4, and then pick one of the back. Okay, I'm going to pass this out. Here we go.